Good morning, Amy. This is my journal, my sketchbook, sorry. I'm just going to talk very briefly about each thing because I've only got 10 minutes or thereabouts. The first thing I looked at was some examples of bookbinding because I missed the class with what you were doing. I looked at 3 different types of bookbinding to start, which was saddle stitching, perfect book, and the next one was pamphlet stitch. Out of the 3 of them, I felt the pamphlet stitch one was the best one to use for junk journals, because with junk journals you use different sizes of paper. But I did actually quite like the idea of making some some perfect bound ones with just plain paper inside, using eco-dyed paper on the front. And I've done a little saying there is beauty everywhere, just to illustrate this is an eco-dyed piece of paper. So that's what I did for those 3. These saddle stitch one, I do make tiny little books to go inside my journals. They're okay actually for different lengths and thicknesses of paper, but they don't look quite so sort of professional in as much as they're not as strong. The paper isn't as strong for those. So that's those 3. And quickly turn the page. And there's all the processes for the perfect bound book. I'm not going to go into it because I haven't got time. Then I looked at taking the pamphlet stitch a bit further, and I wanted to look at doing a hidden spine. So I looked at these artists here who'd done books, junk journals mostly, with a hidden spine. I did have a look at the traditional methods of bookbinding using a hidden spine as well, but I didn't actually get round to putting it into my journal, unfortunately. And I had a go at doing one with a hidden spine, and this is an altered book which I turned into a junk journal. And that for me is my favourite. It's the easiest, it works well with the paper, the different sizes of paper. And then I had a look at old books. I wanted to look at creating sort of really old looking pages, so I looked at old books there, mordanting stuff. I made some mordant out of rust, which I've done here in this one here. Again, just looking at, that was what I did with the pamphlet stitching, etc. And then I looked at something called wabi-sabi, because I have a habit of trying to be a perfectionist with everything. And wabi-sabi is the view that there is beauty in imperfections, and that things are impermanent, and you know make the most out of something that's imperfect, or if you make a mistake, use it. So I did that, and I made this concertina book. And inside this concertina book, and you've probably seen this, is another, that was an accident, a happy accident. So really, wabi-sabi is like having happy accidents, I suppose you could say. And I really embraced it during this, and kind of like thought, I'm not going to worry too much about how it turns out. I'm just going to enjoy the process, which I did. And then I just made this little book with little cut-out bits, using saddle stitch cut-out bits of paper, old junk paper, which I had. Okay. That was my concertina book. That you can see all the bits and stuff that I've done there. And then I produced a set of 3 journals for my daughter, again using simple stitching. She wanted something that was more minimalist. It was quite good to do this because it got me to sort of think about, there's sometimes it's worth having something slightly more minimally rather than just everything being coffee stained. Maybe have a little bit of both. Or if I wanted to do a different style, now I know what to do. So that was that. And I did a single fold booklet. Not really much use for me in junk journals because I think it's a bit of a waste of paper, but maybe I'll explore it for different reasons later. It might be quite nice doing it using an eco-dyed piece of paper as a one-off thing in a book, but I don't know, I'll explore it later. Travel journal, I looked at paper engineering for this, and I made a travel journal box.